So last time we spoke about what is the purpose of life, and we spoke that we came into this world in order to develop a relationship with God. God loves you so much, he wanted to give you pleasure, right? Now, you ever heard this concept that Jewish people are the chosen people? Great. I'm sure you heard this because we are. So whenever anyone thinks about chosen people, what do we think it means? It means, I'm chosen. I'm going to sit in a hammock. You're going to bring me piña coladas. You know that song? If you like piña colada. Ooh, we're all going to be in TV singing. Great. Okay, so what happens? Everyone thinks chosen means you're here to serve me. That's not what chosen means. Chosen, it's a responsibility. And I'm going to talk to you today about what is that responsibility. Before I even tell you that, I want to tell you a great idea. I don't know if you ever thought about it. Why are we chosen, by the way? Let me just ask you. Abraham was the first Jew, right? Why was he the first Jew? Why was he chosen?
Because he was willing to sacrifice.
He was willing to sacrifice. Good, I'll use that. But I want something more than that, but I'll use that.
He was questioning.
He was questioning. I'll use that also. Everything you're going to say, I'll use. Sometimes I play devil's advocate, and then I cancel.
He heard God.
He was the leader. Great. I like that one. He heard God. We were playing Family Feud, I want to tell you this, even with religious people, when I asked them, why was Abraham the first Jew? Everyone said, because he was the first one to believe in God. You ever heard this answer? And then I would go like, because there was a famous guy called Noah. You remember him? He was saved in an ark. He was the father of all of humanity, but apparently not of the Jewish people. I mean, yes, everyone descended from him, but he wasn't chosen to be the first Jew. Did he believe in God? 100%, because he was saved in an ark, right? So it must mean he believed in God. Adam, he was made by God, right? So wouldn't that make it that you believe in your maker? Sure. So it cannot be that Abraham was the first Jew because he believed in God, by the way, right? So there must be much more than that. So why is Abraham the first Jew? Because you remember I asked you last time, why are you proud of being Jewish? If we don't know what made Abraham into a Jew, then we don't really know who we are. And if we don't know who we are, then we cannot be proud because we have no idea what we're being proud of. By the way, let me ask you a question. Did Adam have a religion? No. Why? So people think it's because there were no religions back then. So I said, okay, maybe there were no religions, but could you call Adam the Jew? The creme of the creme. The whole world was created for the chosen people, so it should have been Adam the Jew. You know why Adam didn't have a religion? This is really important that you know this. Really important. If Adam wouldn't have eaten from the tree, would he have entered the world to come and benefit from ultimate pleasure automatically? Yes or no? Yes, because the only reason why he didn't enter was because he ate from the tree. And then history came into existence. But if Adam wouldn't have eaten from the tree, would Jews, Muslims, Christians, Arabs, Greeks, Romans, Egyptians, would they have existed? No, because Adam contained in himself all of humanity. You know why Adam didn't have a religion? Because what God wanted when he created us was to give pleasure. I do not select who I give pleasure to. It's an opening for everyone. And if Adam would have done the right thing, he would have gone into the world to go. But Adam didn't do it. Why? I'll tell you later. And not only Adam didn't do it, God gave a lot of space to humanity. It says in the Torah, there were 10 generations from Adam till Noah. No one chose to believe in God. God sent the flood. There were 10 generations from Noah till Abraham. No one chose to believe in God. There was the Tower of Babel. You heard the Tower of Babel, the Great Tower? Great. And then Abraham came, and he chose, and Yitzchak chose, and Yaakov chose, and 3 not is a strong not, and now we have the Jewish people. But in reality, if Adam would have done his job, that would have been it, right? Because there wouldn't have been anything. So I want you to understand why I'm saying this. We're not just chosen, we're chosen because we chose. This is the most important thing. We're chosen because we chose, right? Everyone else didn't choose. But what I don't understand is, what does it mean they didn't choose? Because obviously they believed in God. If they were fighting in the Tower of Babel against God, doesn't that mean that you believe in God? You believe in him, you're fighting against him, but you know he exists. So how could it be that so much people believed in God, but none of them were worthy? What is it that they did different? So let's start from zero. Whenever you meet a Baal Tshuva, you know what's a Baal Tshuva? No. Someone that becomes religious, like me. Great. What is the first thing you ask them? Why? Sometimes it sounds like, why? Are you on drugs? Like, why would you want to be religious? Believe me, we love it, you know? If not, we wouldn't do it because it's hard. Don't think being religious is easy. But I love it, right? But the first question you ask them is, why? So now let me ask you, Does the Torah says how Abraham came to believe in God? Yes or no? Is it written in the Torah? No. One time I was thinking about it. I was like, God, this would have been a bestseller. Much better than Harry Potter and 50 Shades. You know, it would have been good, right? How could it be that the Torah doesn't write it? It doesn't make sense. This would have been, everyone wants to know, Abraham, the first Jew, how did he become like that? How did he decide to change all of his lifestyle? The Torah doesn't tell you. Why? I'm going to tell you later. But before I tell you that, how did Abraham came to believe in God? So the oral Torah, the Midrash, tells us the following story. Abraham's father, Terach, used to sell idols. Everyone remembers this? And idols. He was the biggest idol worshiper. So one day, this old lady used to come and buy idols, and Abraham would be like, lady, aren't you like 80? My dad just like sculpted this yesterday. Like, it doesn't make sense. One day, Abraham grabs a big plate of food, he puts it in the middle of the room, he destroys all the small idols, and he puts a stick on the big idol. Everyone knows this story. I'm going to tell you something you don't know. So Terach comes in, and he's like, hey, macarapo. So Abraham says, look, they were all starving. They started fighting, and the big idol killed the little idols. So Terach looked at him, and he says, are you on crack? You know, idols don't kill each other. They don't even move. They're made out of stone. So what are you saying? So Abraham says to his father, what am I saying? What are you saying? You're saying they're made out of stone? They don't move? So why do you serve them? And then he said the most amazing idea. He said like this, Ishme'u oznecha ma shepicha medaber. Let your ears listen to what your mouth is saying. You're saying they're not real? So why do you serve them? You know why? Because it's comfortable for you. Because you like it. Because it makes you feel good. But it's not truth. So why would you do it? But guess what? Not that I want to attack anyone, but how many times do we do that? We look at the truth right in front of our face, but it doesn't go with my style of life, and therefore I don't do it, right? You know when you meet someone and they're a hypocrite, you hate it, but how many times are you a hypocrite with yourself? How many times? So many times. So now, why would people not want to follow God? And I haven't answered this question of why was Abraham the first Jew, but let me tell you something else. I'm going to quote from you from the person that knew the Jewish people the best. If you understand what he meant, you'll pretty much understand all of humanity's relationship towards the Jewish people. This is like deep. So who was the person that knew the Jewish people the best? Believe it or not, Mr. Hitler. Let his memory be erased. He said like this. This is written in his book, My Camp. Yeah? Anyone is into Holocaust business? I'm not into Holocaust. My husband has a Holocaust master's. I know. Religious people are learned, you see? We could do everything. Great. Okay. So he makes me watch all of these movies and read all of these books. One time he made me watch this movie, and it was that part of the month we couldn't touch. I almost died. Never watch a Holocaust movie if there's no one there to hug you. Great. That is the point I want to give you. So the point is, Hitler wrote like this. Listen to this. The Jewish people have made two injuries in humanity. An injury in the body called the circumcision, and an injury in the brain called the conscience. When I see this, I'm like, really? Circumcision is not really painful, by the way. You take out the foreskin. It's like when you have like a blister and it's dry, so you take it out. It's not that painful, by the way. The baby cries from the fright. Actually, if you want to know something amazing, there's a famous rabbi in Israel. It's called Samir Cohen. He wrote a book. It's called The Coming Revolution. If you're into science and Torah, this is a must. It's called The Coming Revolution. It's about all these science discoveries. What do I have to do with Torah? You know what they found out? Amazing. The 8th day, the day of the circumcision, is the only day in the life of a human being that there's 110% coagulation of blood. Amazing. Every other day, 90, 100, 80. The 8th day, 110. Nothing could happen. You know, like, amazing. This is not why we do the Brit Milah on the 8th day, right? We do the Brit Milah on the 8th day, and therefore God did that miracle. But it's called The Coming Revolution from Rav Samir Cohen. He's actually on this channel. Let's continue. So what is the point? Why would it bother Hitler so much doing a circumcision? By the way, I don't know if you ever thought about this, but circumcision is the way through which God decided to seal his pact with the Jewish people. You ever thought about this? Making a sign on a male organ, which is like lowly. You ever thought about this? I was like, God, if you want to make a sign, you know, why don't you put like a sign on their forehead, sort of like Harry Potter? You should pay attention to everything I say. Or like on their heart. Believe in me. Why on their circumcision? So let's build it up. What's the circumcision? Why would Hitler hate it so much? Circumcision means, testifies to the fact that I wasn't born perfect, and it is my obligation to perfect myself. From when? From the moment I come into a world, right? It's my obligation, it's my surrounding obligation of helping me acquire and do that purpose of perfecting myself. Why would it bother Hitler so much? Because Hitler believed in the Aryan race, perfect race. So all of the time that the Jewish people are saying, no, you need to perfect yourself, it's going against everything he stands for, because he believes you're a perfect race. Now, thinking about it, someone asked me one time, why do men circumcise on their thingy? I call it thingy because I think it's cute. Why do they circumcise there, right? Why not somewhere else? Because if the idea is that I came to perfect myself, men have something called ego. You ever heard that, right? And where is the sign of males' ego and power? On their thingy. That's society. Society says, I want to be free. I just want to do whatever I want. But at the end of the day, doing whatever you want is not called freedom. That's being an animal. Animals do whatever they want, whenever they want. They never have awareness or a second thought about what they're doing. Following your instincts, your passions, your desires, that's being an animal. That's not being a human being. Human being is someone that allows to control themselves. It's someone that allows their thoughts to control their actions. Because that makes me higher. That makes me into a creation that was made in the image of God. The rabbis say that the lack of modesty we have nowadays is not just people dressing badly because it's hot. That's not it. The lack of modesty, it's a rebellion against the highest principle in the world. And if you ever think about it, you know what's the principle in the world? That we were created in the image of God. And we're God's children. If you understand this in your veins, in your core, will we behave the way that we behave? Let's think about it. Never. If I understand that I'm the daughter of the king of the world, I would behave, I would act, I would talk in a different way. Guess what? That's what society doesn't want. This is why, you know what's the second thing that Hitler hated? Beautiful, conscience. You know why? Because conscience means I am aware of my actions, and it requires effort. And conscience means I cannot do whatever I want. There was an idol in the Torah called the Baal Peor. Anyone ever heard of this guy? He was an idol. I'm going to be a little graphic, sorry. The way of serving this idol, don't be traumatized, was that you had to do your necessities in front of him. Yeah? You did? Great. On him, next to him, whatever you want. So if you had diarrhea, you were employee of the month. Okay, so I started thinking, why would any idol want to smell these things, right? So then, again, in Torah, you have to think everything deeper. So I started thinking, why do I go to a bathroom in private? You ever thought about this? Why do you do it in private? You might think everyone does it, but animals don't do it, right? So why do we go to a bathroom in private? Some people don't do it. Huh?
Like in terms of being naked, why do we think of it?
It's not being naked, yeah. But if I would give you a class about modesty, you would see it's not shame. It's exactly something else. But I don't have time to give you a class about modesty, but I'll teach you one day, right? But why do you go to a bathroom in private? It's not because we have a sense of dignity. We have a sense of shame, of understanding that what is required of me and who I am. By the way, shame doesn't mean, oh my God, I'm shy. Shame means understanding my self-worth, my self-value, and that comes with a way of behavior. That's shame. The Torah says shame is intellect, intellect is shame. It's not about what you know, it's about how you act according to that which you know. Do you expect your professor in college to be behaving in the same way as you do? For sure not. He should behave better. Do you expect a child that doesn't have understanding, but he has mental retardation, do you expect him to behave the same way that you do? No, because he doesn't know any better. It's normal. If he's poking his nose, that's what he knows. Would you like to see your professor poking his nose? For sure no, right? Because he knows better. One time they asked Aristoteles. I know, how you call it in English? Aristotle. Great. I like Aristoteles more. Sounds more Greek. Yeah, you like it, no? Sounds... Okay, great. So what is the point? So they asked Aristoteles one time, because Aristoteles was like a sage, if you want to call him that way, but Greeks were known for being very immoral. Greek people used to Greeks say that if you ever want to do it well, you should go with boys. That's what they say. It's known, Greeks were very immoral. So one time they asked Aristoteles, how could it be that you teach ethics and morale and you behave in such an immoral way? Listen to what he answered. It's going to sound funny, but that sums up everything. He says, what? If I teach math, should I behave like a triangle? Right? But you know what he was really saying? What I preach is not who I am. Aristotle, he used to say, when I did that, I wasn't Aristoteles. No, you're Aristoteles everywhere. In Torah, we believe what you preach is who you should become. That's what we believe. We should all be perfected. That's what it means to have a God. It's not just having a God means I follow him. You know that song? I will follow him. I know it's from Sister Act and they were known, so I shouldn't sing it. But I like that song. I will follow him. Great. Follow him. Okay, right? But that is the point. You know what the Torah says? Listen to this quote. Beautiful. It says, Chochma bagoim ta'amin, Torah bagoim al ta'amin. That the non-Jewish people have wisdom, believe it. But that they have Torah, don't believe it. What does it mean? How many things do you remember from high school? 4 things. I'm going to be exact. Reading, writing, adding, and subtracting. I'm not going to add multiplication because some people don't remember that. Especially nowadays that we have smartphones, people don't know how to multiplicate in their heads. Not even 9 times 7. It's depressing, but whatever. Right? Why do you only remember these things? Why? Because they're the only things that you use, right? Because everything else, you just learned it for your exam. That's pretty much how it works. Chochma bagoim, they have wisdom, they know a lot of things. But Torah, you know what the word Torah means? Torah comes from the word hora'ah. It means instructions. That Torah that you think it's a very old book that has nothing to do with my life, Torah actually means instructions for living. Instructions are there to be applied. That the goyim have wisdom, believe it. But that they apply that which they know, Torah, I cannot say it's the same thing. When I did that, I wasn't Aristoteles, right? So now listen to this. You know why it bothers so much Hitler, the Jewish people? Because Hitler understood something really important. Hitler understood that just as every single individual has an individual conscience, Jewish people are the conscience of humanity. And by the way, you don't need to go so far in order to see this. You see how the army behaves? They're not even religious, by the way. But look at how the army behaves. They send leaflets to let civilians know that they're going to bomb. But this is what they do. You know what they do in order to save a body of someone that died? I'm not talking someone alive. If you die, bar minam, they go to great length to get your body. That's called morality. Everyone knows Jewish people are the moral of the world. This is why everyone wants to get rid of us. Because at the end of the day, people don't want to live with morality, and that's the truth. People want to just do whatever they want, whenever they want. That's the truth, right? I don't want to insult your, where you come from, but if you ever think about it, what is freedom of speech? Everyone should just do whatever I want. And the logo is, I could do whatever I want as long as it doesn't bother you. But it does bother, because everything makes an impact. If I watch all of these naked people in the middle of the street, that creates an impact in myself. If I watch all of these people doing whatever, I don't know what they're doing, it creates an impact on myself. That's freedom of speech. Let me just do whatever I want. But that's not how the world goes. Let me just prove this to you. What is the thing that bothers you the most about the killing in the Holocaust, if you ever think about it? What's the thing that bothers you the most about the killing in the Holocaust?
They didn't do anything.
No one stopped it.
No one stopped it. About the killing itself. The methods. Let's call it this way. If you ever think about it, this is what bothers you the most. It's not the number. The number is crazy, but it's not the number. In Russia, more people died. It's the way that they did it. Wasn't enough, you want to kill someone, just shoot them. No. They put you in ghettos, starved you to death, stripped you out of all of your dignity, took away everything that you have, worked you until you died, put on a number of you, shaved your head. They took away everything you had. You know why they did this? I understood one time. You know why they did this? Because if I could grab the most humane people and make them behave in the most inhumane way, I've won. Because the fight against the Jewish people wasn't a physical fight. It was an ideology. If I could make that you stand for morality, to behave in the most immoral way, because that's what people do at times of, urgency, I've won. But you know what the Jewish people say? The Jewish people say, defiance and fighting back is not just fighting with weapons. Anyone that remained a human being, and they did. You ever saw that movie, Defiance, right? Any mother that went with her baby, and everyone that kept on trying to learn, or share their last piece of bread, that showed that you could never take away humanity from a Jew. You could take away anything. You could take away all material belongings, but you could never take away who we are. This is why, you know what Hitler wrote? Crazy. This is what he wrote on his diary. He said, if only one little Jewish kid remains with no Judaism, no parents, no school, no education, no anything, he will be like a seed that will poison the world. When you read this, you're like, that's a powerful child. Like, how much could he do? Apparently, that's why I said, if you study it the way from we're studying, it's a beautiful thing. Hitler understood. We have it engraved in ourselves. We have it engraved in ourselves that we affect the world in such a positive way. You could never get rid of it. The Torah says that's what the soul of a Jew is different. We have these beautiful qualities of mercy, kindness, and shame inside of us. It comes with your soul. You cannot get rid of it. By the way, just a cool fact, just so that you see this, right? In the year 2000, New York Times published a survey. Who were the 4 people that most affected humanity in the 20th century? 1900s. Who were the 4 people that most affected humanity, for good or for bad? Who do you want to say? Einstein? Hitler, great. All you psychologists out there. Freud? Any Russians?
Stalin?
Karl Marx, the one that was good, the one that started the good thing, right? That's like kibbutzim. I don't know if you check this out. Check it out. 3 out of 4 are Jewish. The 3 good ones. Isn't that amazing? Wait, can I make this more amazing? Jewish people are 0.02% of the world. Let me say that again. 0.02% of the world. How did we manage to affect the world in such a positive way? We have it in ourselves. But guess what? Most people don't want to live like that. You know what was the way of serving this idol? You know what it represented? Listen to this. You know what idol worship is? Idol worship means I make up a God that allows me to do what I want with his permission. That's pretty much idol worship. I want to be wild, but I don't want to say I'm doing it like I want, So I choose Halloween. I choose the idol to allow me to do what I want whenever I want, and it works well. Call it idol worship, call it atheist, call it whatever you want. At the end of the day, it's all coming from the same point. I want to do whatever I want, and therefore I get rid of morality. This is why people don't like Jewish people. Let me just finish with Hitler, by the way. He had a little children's army. Everyone knows this?
Yeah.
Google this. You know what it said in the anthem? It says like this. Last quote. We don't want no pope and no rabbi. We want to go back to being pagans again. Because being a pagan means I could do whatever I want. And at the end of the day, that's what they wanted. This is why, whether people understand it or not, right? They hate us. Because chosen comes with our responsibility. The responsibility of being ambassadors of God in the world. But that doesn't mean that everyone wants to live with this awareness. Because it requires a lot of effort. It requires a lot of restraint. And people don't want to live like that. This is why the Torah says that when God gave the Torah in Har Sinai, the word Sinai could also be read as Sin'ah, which means hatred. Don't read it as Sinai, read it as Sinah. Because from the moment we received the Torah and we became the chosen people, there is hatred towards us. Because of the values that we stand for, right? The values that we bring into this world that people don't want to follow. So let's move on, right? Beautiful. So, what?
We have someone on our trip named Sina.
No, it could be another thing.
No, it's Sina. It's Sina.
Great. In Hebrew, it's Sin'ah, but don't worry, right? Great. So what is the point? Moving back. So I still didn't tell you. How could it be that Abraham, right, became the first one to be religious? Wait a minute, I'll tell you later. Can I tell you something crazy about Abraham? Listen to this, yeah? All the rabbis in the world agree that Abraham had 10 tests. But rabbis cannot agree on too many things at a time, because one rabbi, 2 opinions, one Jew, 3 opinions. You know how it goes? So the rabbis agreed that Abraham had 10 tests, but they don't agree which ones. So one test, which I'm going to tell you in a second, in my eyes, looks like the hardest test ever. There's a rabbi called the Rambam. You ever heard of him? Maimonides. He doesn't think this was a test at all. What is the test? Right? She sort of said it. Before Abraham ever spoke to God, before God ever proved himself to Abraham, there was a king called Nimrod. He thought he was God. So he says, whoever believes in me will live. Whoever doesn't believe in me, I will throw him into the fire. So Abraham said, excuse me, you're not God. So what happened? He was thrown into the fire for his belief in God. The Rambam says, this is not a test. Now, I don't know if you're looking at this, but this is crazy. Giving up your life for God is not a test. By the way, in the Inquisition, in the Holocaust, all of these Jewish people that gave their life up for their beliefs, They all got it from Abraham. How could it be it's not a test? He never even spoke to God. He was completely alone in the world. His father gave him to be thrown into the fire. By the way, you know when was the first time God ever spoke to Abraham? Just so you know, he said like this, Lech Lecha, which means go. So imagine you're sleeping one day and you hear a voice, Raquel. He says, go. So go. Go where? To infinity and beyond. And I say, you go in your cab. And he tells him, where are you going to? I don't know. He's like, lady, I'm not going to drive you the whole day. Where do you want to go? The airport. Where to? Where's your next flight? Cambodia. We're going. This is Abraham, by the way. He went. He never knew where he was going. He didn't know what he was doing. This is called sacrifice. The Rambam says being thrown into the fire for your belief in God is not a test. You understand this? How could it be? Listen to the answer. Because the Rambam says that in order for a test to be a test, it has to go against your logic. Crossing the sea, that's a test. The sea is not going to open up. Going without knowing your destination, that's a test. You don't know where you're going. But being thrown into the fire for your beliefs, that you should do, because if you believe in something, how could it be you will live a life that's a lie? If you really believe in something, how could it be that you'll go against it? The rabbi that founded Esha Torah, Rav Noah Weinberg, used to go like this. He used to go to businessmen and he would say, would you die for your children? And they would say, sure. And then he would say, would you die for your business? And he would say, no. And then he would say, let me understand this. You would die for your children, but you don't live for your children. But you wouldn't die for your business, but you live for your business. And then he would say something really powerful. He would say like this. When you know what you're willing to die for, now you could start living. That was Avraham Avinu. If this is truth, I do it. Because how could it be that you live a lie? How could it be that you go against who you are? It doesn't make sense. If you believe, if this is your principle, I had a rabbi, he always used to say like this. Spell for me believe. So people used to say believe. B-E-L-I-E-V-E. He used to say, no, this is not how you spell believe. This is how you spell believe. B-E-L-I-V-E. They were like, Rabbi, you don't know any grammar. This is not how you write believe. He said, no, this is how you write believe. You know why? Listen to this. Because believe is be living in what you believe. Be living in what you believe. Believe is not just saying, I believe. I believe what? You're paying lip service. You believe, live according to what? Let your ears listen to what your mouth is saying. This is truth, so do it. You know, people always say that religious people are brainwashed, fanatics. Let me just tell you this. You could never be religious and brainwashed. Because brainwash by definition means that you're manipulated into doing something you don't want to do. That's the definition of brainwash. You could never be brainwashed into being religious. It's really hard. Really hard. I do want to tell you, in a certain way, we are brainwashed. Because you know who really brainwashed you? Society. Every single thought that you have comes from who? Society. By the way, this is who builds and shapes your thoughts. By the way, I want to tell you something really deep. If you ever think about who you are, what would you say? Some people say, I'm a doctor. That's not who you are. That's what you do. Some people say, I'm a body. That's not who you are. Some people say, I'm a soul. That's also not who you are. Who are you in one word? So to make the story short, the Torah says, you're your choices. You're your ratzon, your will. Why? Because your ratzon, your will, that's what makes you run after something. That's what moves you, isn't that? And your ratzon, your will, says what are your choices, right? Yes? That's easy, no? Who am I and my choices? But now let me ask you, where do most of your choices come from? How do you dress? How do you talk? How do you behave? How do you do everything? It comes from society, by the way. If who I am is my choices, and most of my choices, if I would not say all of my choices, are defined by society, then who am I? I'm no one at the end. I'm just everyone else. We're all the same. You know, people always say religious people don't do anything. I always say, at least we choose not to do something. Some people cannot not do what everyone else is doing. You have to go to his concert, because if not, you're a loser. You go to a prom, and look, there's different body types, but not every body type fits into the same type of dress. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I look at people and I'm like, oh my God, how is she wearing this? But you know why is she wearing this? Because everyone else is also. And you cannot wear something different because then you feel left out. You feel a loser, whatever you want to call it, right? You are your choices, then choose. Religious people are not brainwashed. We are brainwashed from society, thank God. We start thinking straight. We're also not fanatic. Fanatic means that you blindly follow something without proving it's true. That's a fanatic. 1 second, yeah? By the way, AKA, not that I want to criticize, but that's Arabs. That's a fanatic. We're idealists. You know what's the difference? Idealist means I do something because it's true. Ask any rabbi in the world if you would prove to him that the Torah is a lie, but prove it. Don't just say it. Prove it. You think they would not shave their beards and change their outfit? They would 100%. We're not doing it because this is the way we grew up. We're doing it because it's true. How do you know? Because look at how we're changing our lifestyle, because we're honest. This is true. This is the only reason why we're doing it. You know how we know it's true? Listen to it. People always say, why do religious people study Torah all day? Let me tell you why we study Torah all day. If you want to be a doctor, how many years you have to go to school? 12 at least, right? What do you get to be a doctor with a specialty? You get one specialty. Do you know everything? No, one. How much time do you think you need to go into school in order to know everything that God knows the rest of your life? And it's not even enough. That's why we're studying. Because we're not just, I believe. No. I know. I know everything I could know. Some things I'm not going to know, and that's okay, because I cannot know everything. The Rashba says, the purpose of knowing is knowing that you do not know. Beautiful. The purpose of knowing is knowing that you do not know. You will never know everything, and that's okay, because we're that limited, right? But I am obligated to know everything I could know, right? We're not fanatics, we're idealists. Even if you're the biggest rabbi in the world, you're still called a Talmid Chacham. Who knows Hebrew? What's a Talmid Chacham? A wise student. You never graduate from Judaism. You'll never get a BA. You're always a student. Because we are. We came to get to know God, right? But all of that comes with a search for Emet. Yeah?
So how would you explain going to the army, like how everyone has to go to the army and making that choice, and then some
But that's a different thing.
and then some people don't, like, because I know some Orthodox don't go to the army, they do something instead. I know that's a
That is a very, very big discussion that we're not going to start with this, but I'll just tell you like this. In the Torah, we're made of a body, we're made of a soul, right? This is all human beings. Therefore, there's a physical side to us, there's a spiritual side to us. No mitzvah is just spiritual. Every mitzvah has something physical. In the same way, everything that we do has to have a physical side and a spiritual side. What we follow, what we believe, how we live our lives, is that sometimes you need to do a physical effort, but that's not enough. You also need to do a spiritual effort. Daven, and study, and whatever you want. So some of us do physical effort, some of us do spiritual effort. That's pretty much how it works. Some people are not happy with just, the separation, and this is a big, 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 big deal in Israel. This is why we're not going to discuss it. But we believe that we don't, fighting, it's an amazing thing. They're giving up their lives for us, it's a big thing. But that's not the only thing we need. We also need to remember God. And when we're praying, we're also winning. Or where we're studying, or where we're doing whatever you want. But we could continue with this later, because it's just really big topic. You guys ask me questions that I would need 2 hours to answer. This just explains how smart you all are, but yeah.
Okay, this might be also kind of a little controversial, but I also heard that there's some secular and other religious people who are against people going to the army, and then also very against what we're doing in our actions.
Doesn't work like that. It sounds like that from the media, but just as a Palestinian sound like poor little guy and Israel sounds like the beast, right? It's not like that. Religious people are not against going to the army. Are against going to the army instead of studying Torah, because we need both. It's a different thing. Against if it's instead, right? But that's why I'm not going to go into this whole business. Anyways, later we'll talk about it. Yeah. So what is the point, right? So if you're looking for truth, and you're really doing what's right? You're always learning. We're not just believers, We're doing the right thing. There's a parasha in the Torah called Parasha Yitro. Parasha Yitro is a section of the Torah that speaks about the 10 Commandments. Probably the most important section of the Torah, yeah? Anyone knows who Yitro is? Yitro is the father-in-law of Moshe Rabbeinu, or as you would call him, Moshe, right? Moses, whatever you want. And when I came to Neve, I grew up Sephardi. In Panama, there's no Ashkenazi people. So I came to Neve and I heard everyone talking about the Torah and Moshe. And then I went to someone and I was like, could you just explain to me what's a Torah? And they're like, Torah? I'm like, what's Torah? And they go Torah. I'm like, Oh, Torah. Now I understand. And then I realized you change every word. It's like I'm talking about modesty. So I say tzeniut. So everyone's like, what? What? And I'm like, tzenius. Oh, we get it. I'm like, okay. All right, this is how it works. So Yitro was the father-in-law of Moshe. Yitro was the most famous convert in the history of converts. Why? He checked out every single religion before he became Jewish. And then he became Jewish. So now, in his name is the section of the Ten Commandments. Now, I don't know what you think, but I think it's kind of like diminishing. Why would you call it Yitro? Maybe you should call it Torah or Moshe. Why would you call it Yitro? Maybe what God wants to tell you is that sometimes in life you're going to have to take a long journey. Sometimes it's going to be 70 religions. And you know what God says? It's okay. If you're looking for truth, you're going to find it. I don't care how long your journey is, and I don't know how much you have to search. But if you're searching for truth, and I mean the real thing, Coca-Cola, and I'm not just saying it as a joke. Sadly, a lot of people are satisfied with Pepsi instead of Coca-Cola. By the way, if you like Pepsi, I don't mean it in a wrong way. It's just because Coca-Cola is the real thing. You know what I'm saying? Okay, whatever, right? A lot of people are just satisfied with the placebo. Feel good. Most religions, feel good religions, gratifying, whatever it gives to me. But that's not Coca-Cola. That's not Emet. God is saying, I don't care if you're like Yitro, if you have to go through 70 religions in the world. If you're looking for truth, you'll find it. This is why, listen to it, it's beautiful. You know that Jewish day starts at night and finishes in the morning? The real reason why is because Jewish people are like the moon. The moon has no light of its own. It reflects the light of the sun. In the same way, we don't have any light, but we reflect the light of the sun, the light of God. How great will we be? As much as we want to reflect. But I was thinking about it one day and I said, you know maybe why it starts at night? Because for some of us, life started in darkness. We were devoid of real education, devoid of truth, devoid of Torah. That's pretty much all of humanity. We're all conditioned to what we were taught when we were young. And that doesn't mean it is true. You think, if not, we shouldn't, do anything with the Arabs, because all of them grow up thinking like that. But not because you grew up thinking like something, it means it's true. You know why the day starts at night and finishes in the morning? Maybe what God is saying to you is, you do not choose your past. You do not choose where you come from. You do not choose your education, but you do choose what you'll do in the future. And even if your beginning was dark, let the ending of your life be light. Look for truth. This is what God is saying. I don't care who you are, where you're from, don't care what you did. Listen to a quote. As long as you find me, baby. You like that remix? Cool, no? That's what God is saying. I don't care. By the way, there's an amazing guy. I want to tell you this. There's a Napoleon one time asked his philosopher, Louis Pascal. He said to him, prove to me that God exists. Listen to this. He said, one word, Your Majesty, the Jews. How could you ever have Jewish people without God? Impossible. You ever think about this? I was just giving a class yesterday. I was telling you, just so you don't worry. According to statistics, we should all be dust by now. According to the amount of rockets. You saw news? Almost no one hurt. I'm not even talking about dead. No one hurt. Hundreds and thousands of rockets. Almost no one dead. And it's not only because of the Iron Dome. We have another Iron Dome. There was a famous guy called Mark Twain. He wrote an article. Google this. Gives me nachat. It's called The Immortality of a Jew. Anyone read this? She likes education. She's going to Google this. He said like this. The Egyptians, the Romans, they all came. They made so much noise. Where are they now? The Ottomans, the Turkish, they're the same. The Nazis, they all came. They made so much noise. They wanted to conquer the world. Where are they now? And then they said, they all wanted to destroy and conquer the Jewish people, but the Jewish people saw them all, fought them all, and survived them all. And they're still here as strong as they ever were. And then he says, what is the secret? Everything has a beginning and an end, except for the Jewish people. What is the secret of their immortality? Beautiful. No one. By the way, Mark Twain wasn't Jewish. We didn't pay him to write this. What's the secret of their immortality? What's the secret? Let me tell you the secret, right? By the way, we need much more time to talk about Abraham, but we'll finish with this. Two things. In the Shir HaShirim, it's the Song of Songs, we read about a story of love between a man and a woman. It's a metaphor that represents a story of love between God and the Jewish people. In the 8th chapter, it says like this. I'll explain. It's a metaphor. We have a little sister that hasn't grown breast yet. What are we going to do with her? So it says, if she's like a door, a strong wind will come and destroy her, put her out. But if she's like a wall, we'll build a fortress around her. Okay, what does it mean? So the little sister of the Jewish people in the metaphor, it's Abraham Avinu. Why? Because Abraham Avinu was alone. There was no one else doing what he was doing in the world. You know, it's like when you get your period, you saw that movie, My First Kiss, and you're traumatized because you don't know what's going on. That's the little sister. She feels so alone. She feels so lost. Says God, what are we going to do with her? If she's like a door, you know what's a door? I go this way, I go that way. I go this way, I go that way. Whatever works for me. Says God, if you're going to be like a door, I'm going to destroy you. That's not what I want. I don't want convenient people. When Mashiach is going to come, we're not going to accept converts. Now we accept anyone. Not anyone, but I mean someone that's honest. When Mashiach is going to come, everyone is going to want to be part of the Jewish people. We're going to be the king of the world. Says God, that's not what I want. I want honesty. Maybe that's why, if you ever think about it, in every single generation we're tested. Because you know why? Loyalty is not tested when everything is great in your marriage. Loyalty is tested when you're having economical situation and when you're having difficulties. Says God, how do I know that you're really there? Because it's true. Because I test you and you keep on holding to me. Why? How are we still here? How? Because we're like a wall. And God says, if you're going to be like a wall, we're going to build a fortress around you. Beautiful. Every morning we say in our prayer, blessed are you, God, Baruch Ata Hashem, Magen Abraham, the shield of Abraham. I never understood why it says the shield of Abraham. What about the shield of Yaakov, the shield of Moshe, the shield of Yeshua? Why Abraham? Because you know when God is going to be like you? God is going to be your shield? When you're like Abraham and you listen to what your mouth is saying. And even if the whole entire world is against you, you still stand up for what you believe. And that's engraved in each one of us. So let's start acting upon it. Great. Any questions? No. So it was so nice to see you twice. Thank you so much. If you ever come to Neve, look for me. I have an email. I'm on Facebook. I know I only post about Zumba anyways, but I'm on Facebook. I have an email. Anything anyone needs, we'll talk.